Thank you, Mr. Speaker and honorable members. Some brief remarks, if you will. Imagine the effects of House Bill 2 on someone who was born in 2012. Let's call him Joe Atwill from the town of Nowhere, New Hampshire. At age 16, he decides to drop out of high school. The dropout encouragement counselor has said, well, we've had no adequacy increase since 2012. You'd help the town if you left. And as they say in Concord, adequate education, adequate job. Now, Nowhere's economy was going nowhere, and besides, there were some tough memories for Joe Atwill. His mother, Mary Atwill, a teacher, had lost her job and her health insurance, and when they closed the local health clinic, well, she missed that pap smear, and then his father, he kind of fell to pieces and couldn't get any mental health services. Before leaving, Joe wanted to go to church, and being Scotch, he called it the Kirk of Nowhere, and he thought he'd drop in because he wanted to hear his favorite minister, the Reverend O'Neill, preaching on his favorite text, HB1, verse 450. Blessed are some of the poor.
The member will suspend.
Yes.
I wasn't listening, but I'm told that you referred to another member as a member from Nowhere. That is out of order. The member will refrain.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, but I can show you remarks, and I assure you I've referred to no one by name.
And therefore, the admonition doesn't need to be taken. But if it was said, there is an admonition that
Thank you.
given to you. Please continue.
The Reverend couldn't let him in the church because the Reverend couldn't bless any more poor people than he had blessed in 2011. Well, Joe Atwill thought, maybe I'll go fishing. But the problem was the subcontractors had put too much salt in the road, and all the lakes were too salty, so there's no fish. But the good news was that his saltwater fishing license he could now use inland, and only $5. He walked past the Nowhere kindergarten in trailers out in the parking lot because there hadn't been any school buildings since 2012. And inside he could hear the children chanting, downshift bad, cost shift good. Downshift bad, cost shift good. Well, Joe also wanted to say goodbye to Grandpa Atwill at the firehouse. And he went up there and he saw the town seal over the firehouse door. You know, it's that hand pushing a special needs kid out of town. And the Latin motto, pro bono richo. And he said, hi, Grandpa. And Grandpa said, Joe, they just demoted me to being a last responder. Still no contract. I can't retire. And they only pay us for the minutes when we're doing CPR. Well, Joe got in his car. Good news, the registration's only $35. Bad news, he couldn't drive on Route 101 because the Department of Transportation decided to let every road lie fallow every 7 years and hope that after the 7th year it would have paved itself. Joe drove down past Amherst, where they were housing the Berlin prisoners in the high school gym, and he went down to Queenston to the Knockingham County home because he wanted to see how his grandmother was doing. He walked in and she says, Joe, quick, put a quarter in the meter. They've just reached the limits on the retirement health care fund, and I can't get my medicine unless you put the quarter in. So, he put a quarter in the meter, and Grandma got her injection. And then he looked over, and there's all these people lined up with a number. And he said, Grandma, who are they? And she said, they're waiting for my bed. That's the waiting list. But, as they say in Concord, elections have unintended consequences. And the good thing is that they reduced the cigarette tax, so people now are dying more quickly, so they don't have to wait so long for my bed. Well, Joe then decided to go down to Durham because he wanted to go over to FUNH. Former University of New Hampshire. He was walking down the street and he saw someone he knew, and it was Kendra, and he said, Kendra.
Mr. Speaker.
I didn't think they let any University of New Hampshire.
Will the member please suspend?
Yes.
Representative Bates, you're recognized.
Parliamentary inquiry.
What is your inquiry?
I'd like to know if it would be in order to move to adjourn now before the sky falls.
Under those conditions, it would not be in order.
The sky will only be falling for about 30 more seconds, folks. So he says, I thought they only let out-of-state students into FUNH. And she said, no, they have the unique college program where they let in one New Hampshire student a year if she promises that she's the last member of her family to ever attend college. Now, Joe decided he just had to get out of the state. He wasn't going to go down to Oldcastle because all the clam flats were closed, and he heard the mosquitoes were pretty bad down there now, too, since they stopped the spraying. And he went down Route 1 because nobody takes Route 95 anymore since they voted that grants from the federal government highway fund were unconstitutional and the toll was now $100. But, you know, the rest areas, the Welcome Center was beautiful. The liquor store was full. And as he left the state, he looked back and he saw that great sign, New Hampshire taking advantage since 2012. Thank you.